Hello. In this session, we will look into AI-based product design methodologies and the latest research trends. My name is Kang Namwoo. I am currently the CEO of Narnia Labs and a professor at KAIST. Let me introduce myself in a bit more detail. I studied mechanical engineering as an undergraduate. Because I was very interested in management, I pursued a master's degree in technology management, then joined Hyundai Motor Company to work on automobile development. After that, I entered the interdisciplinary design science PhD program at the University of Michigan in the United States, where I began research on data-driven design. Currently at the KAIST Smart Design Lab, I am conducting research on deep learning-based generative design. Based on the results of that research, I founded a startup called Narnia Labs, and I am working to make a real impact in the industry. Because of the fact that the content I will introduce today is not merely foundational but rather advanced and applied, please take a moment to look at the YouTube link provided below for more comprehensive introductory deep learning lectures. There are 4 main points I would like to talk about today. First, why is AI necessary in engineering design? After that, we will look at 3 representative types of research today: predictive AI, generative AI, and optimization AI. As someone who is involved in both academia and industry, I have felt a significant gap regarding actual AI research. Although a great deal of research has already been conducted in academia and many papers have been published, there are not many studies that have actually solved real-world problems in industrial settings. On the other hand, in the industrial field, even simple AI research is often not well utilized, and there are many cases where AI research does not address the actual needs that companies have. That's why it's always important to understand both academic research and the actual needs of industry at the same time. The problems we aim to solve in the product development process through AI are as follows. If you actually visit an industrial site, you'll see that product development proceeds as follows. First, the designer creates the design, and then the analysis team receives the design data, the CAD data, and runs simulations. After running the simulation, the results are sent back to the design team, and then the design team hands over the revised design to the analysis team again. This kind of repetitive activity continues until a good design proposal is produced, at which point a prototype is made and tested. Since issues often arise again, the design is revised once more. Because product development is carried out in such an iterative manner, it requires a great deal of time and cost. If we look at how AI can solve this problem, the first method is predictive AI. Predictive AI doesn't wait for the analysis after the design is completed. Instead, it learns from simulation data or test data in advance and immediately provides predicted results as feedback to the designer. In this way, designers and AI can collaborate to quickly produce a good design proposal. The second solution is to use generative AI. Since engineering performance can be predicted, if a large number of engineering meaningful design proposals are generated in the early design stage, the designer can simply choose the one they like best from among them. And then, a simple simulation and test are conducted on the selected design. And this generative AI, in the context of engineering design, unlike in the service industry, where generative AI typically refers to generating visually plausible images or producing speech or language, in engineering design, generative AI must be able to generate engineering design proposals, predict their engineering performance, and optimize them according to that performance. All of these functions need to be integrated together. So let's take a closer look at generative and predictive AI. As I mentioned, predictive AI is about predicting engineering performance, and as inputs, it can take 3D, 2D, and 1D data in a multimodal fashion. In the case of 3D in engineering design, this usually refers to CAD data. And for 2D, important cross-sectional shapes or sketches, such as images, can be used as input. And 1D parameters refer to values that can be represented as vectors or matrices, such as boundary conditions, material properties, product specifications, and other requirements. The outputs you get in this way are as follows. Basically, these are all the engineering performance values you can obtain from numerical simulations or actual tests. They could be structural performance, thermal performance, or fluid performance. They could also be electromagnetic performance. Furthermore, these specific performance-related values could potentially be individual field-based values, dynamic characteristics, complex time series data, or even just basic straightforward scalar values. Next is the second solution, generative AI. In engineering design, generative AI refers to deep generative design technology that uses data-based, parametric 3D deep learning. This technology is different from topology optimization as discussed in planning and design. It is also not an LLM like ChatGPT. For example, if a company has five design proposals, usually the one with the best engineering performance among them is chosen. However, this is suboptimal. For example, there is a possibility that an actually optimized design exists somewhere in between these options. So, if you use generative AI to learn from these 5 proposals, it can generate new design options and predict their engineering performance, allowing it to recommend the optimal design. Therefore, in multi-objective problems like this, it becomes possible to instantly generate various Pareto fronts.